Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey, all to help you in yours. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So if you've ever been in a situation where you wanted to do something, but you were afraid to do it because your anxiety and stress levels would just go through the roof if you did it? And have you ever tried to do it anyway? Well, my Blue Talks talk is coming up this month, and I'm speaking at Oxford University, and I have a mix of emotions. I'm super, super excited to be going. I do believe it's the right thing for me to do. I just have difficulties because I have a condition called generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, it's otherwise known as. And this poses all sorts of problems and difficulties when you're trying to do something which is going to be anxiety inducing in some ways. But the whole point of my talk is how to reinvent yourself to become your future self. And what I'm going through now is part of my reinvention to become a public speaker. And so I have to go through the pain of anxiety in order to be able to get the gain of being able to speak more publicly if I want to progress my career forward. So this, if you like, is a payoff. And when I open my talk, I'm actually saying, remember this quote: only when the gain is greater than the pain will you push through your fears and make change happen and make it stick. Have you ever been in so much pain in your life that you felt compelled to change your life for the better forever, and you took the action to make it happen? Well, that's what I did. Multiple times I reinvented myself to become a better version of me, to become my future self. And this required pushing through my fears and anxieties to be able to do this. And in my talk, I'm going to be explaining the transformations I made and how I overcome those fears, push through my barriers, and did this step by step so you can do the same. So, yes, that's basically the opening of my talk, or something similar to that. So, I'm going through a transformation at the moment because this is really nerve-wracking for me. It's what I believe I'm born to do, and I used to cry because I wasn't living up to my full potential. And when I did seminars, business seminars, webinars, and they talked about public speaking, or they just talked about living your dream life, I used to get really upset and be in tears because I just felt I'm not reaching my full potential. Yes, I'm born to help asexuals. Yes, I'm born to write. But I also think there's even more purpose to me than that. And I believe that part, if not the rest of the purpose, is to speak on stage, particularly in London, actually. This is a step towards that when I'm speaking for Blue Talks at Oxford University, which is the most prestigious university in the whole of the UK and one of the most prestigious in the world. So it's a great honour. I am excited, I am elated, and I'm super looking forward to it. But I'm also nervous and got the anxiety condition symptoms, and it is proving hard for me to focus on doing the work it takes to compose and compile and construct the talk. So I'm used to talking on here, but I ad lib. I just know what to say a lot of the time. I go with the flow, and there's no time restrictions, and I don't have to structure these videos in a specific way. But when I'm on stage, I need to be able to construct the talks more in a specific way and manner. And so that requires a lot more planning. It requires a lot more written information up front. It requires me to memorize a lot of things in succession about the way things happen, particularly when I'm talking about transformations, because I've got to compare before to now. And so in order to do that, I've got to remember the logical synchronicity of how things happened in my past to a present day without going through all of it, just the main things I need the audience to know to show them how you can change your life to become a better version of you, to become your future self. And I'm going through this process right now as I'm doing this Blue Talks prep, because this is really hard for me. But part of what you've got to realize is you've got to realize if you have a problem in your life, and the problem could be something's missing, or an inadequacy, or something you want to achieve but you haven't gotten close to it yet. And so in order for me to achieve being a speaker on stage, I need to be able to speak, which is why I took Corey's courses from February this year, and I bought speaker training packages so I can learn public speaking, because I felt that I'm not living up to my full potential. And I don't want to die with my dreams inside me. I want to make sure that I be the speaker I'm born to be. And in order to fulfill my mission of getting asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation its own right throughout the globe, so that no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again, I have to push through my fears, and I have to push through my barriers, because I'm not going to make that mission happen unless I do some radical stuff, right? So what do my anxiety symptoms look like? Well, I keep feeling really dizzy, and I'm getting more claustrophobic because I'm staying indoors a lot of the time trying to write. And like, even as I'm sat here now, my body, my stomach's really tight like this and gripped. And I kind of feel like I'm swaying a bit, you know? And so it's a very disconcerting sensation. It's like you're not completely in your own body. It's almost like you're going on a ship and you're moving with the waves like that. And it feels difficult, you know? It feels hard, and my mouth goes drier, and I find it harder to concentrate on what I'm saying and what I'm doing. And, you know, within me, I can feel like the tension. It's like this. And for me, it's automatic. Like, it's something that is very difficult for me to stop, to manage, to calm down, to be able to like function properly. So my body kind of goes into panic mode more and overdrive. And what happens, it's in like a fight or flight scenario that automatically goes into. And it's very difficult to be able to get out of that. And most of the time, what sorts that out is when I've actually done the thing that I'm scared of doing, that I'm fearful of doing, or that I have anxiety over doing. And so with anxiety, the only way you overcome anxiety is to push through those anxieties and to do some of the things that you are scared of doing, that is fearful to you, if you know the reward. So the thing after you've done that thing is going to be good for you. Because like I said, when the gain is greater than pain, will you push through your fears and make change happen and make it stick. So the gain of doing something has got to be greater than the pain you'll go through to do that thing in order to come out the other side. And so one of the ways that we push through our anxieties and fears is if the thing that's on the other side of anxiety and fear that's waiting for us is going to make us happy, and is going to excel our life in some way, and it's going to give us huge benefits, because the benefits of doing the thing in spite of anxiety need to outweigh the costs of actually doing the thing with anxiety. So it's not easy for me at the moment. It's very stressful. I find it really hard to relax. I'm panicking, and I'm finding it really difficult. Now, in these moments, I have to bring myself back down to reality, and I have to tell myself, you know, that it's going to be okay. I have to tell myself everything's going to be fine. I believe in you. So it's like I have to be two different people. Myself, who right now is like really worried, really freaking out, really like, oh my God, how am I going to remember all this in all this order, especially when I haven't fully constructed all the talk yet? Like, how am I going to do this? Because the difficulty is with my personal story is I have to contrast between the past and further on in the future and the present moment, if you know what I mean. So I have to contrast different dates of times of when things happened. And it's like, do I do those both together? But then it places the other dates that are coming up out of sync. And so it's a very difficult talk to do. It's harder than I thought it'd be. It's got more wheels to the cog than I thought it would have. And I can't just copy my chapter, because the chapter doesn't work as a talk. I've tried to do it that way, and it doesn't make sense unless it's on paper in that way, because it doesn't get all the points across I need to get across, because I'm going to be given examples which I didn't give so much in the book that I've got a chapter in Corey's book, Blue Talk. So my talk for Oxford University for Blue Talks is based on that chapter, but it can't be the same. So I'm having to add more stuff in and take other stuff out and develop it into a slightly different way. And so this is really hard. But you have to just know that it's going to be worth it. As I'm talking about this here, I'm literally finding it hard to speak because it's making it worse because I'm focusing on the anxiety. Does that make sense? So one of the ways to manage anxiety is to actually not focus on it, to take your mind off things. So I'm going to watch a movie scene on Disney Plus because I'm finding it harder to talk. I'm finding it hard to breathe at the moment. This is you seeing me at my worst time with anxiety, really, because I'm finding my body is really, like, at the moment in an adverse reaction, and it's really hard for me. But I wanted to show you how difficult this is for me. So if you've got an anxiety condition, I want you to know that I appreciate you being here. I know how damn tough it is in life. It's really hard, and it's very difficult to do something. So the best things to do are, when you have to do something, like I have to prepare the talk, is to have breaks. Because if you just focus on something all the time and you're panicking, your panic's just going to get worse and worse because you're festering on it and focusing on it. So you need to distract your mind away from it and go and do something else and give yourself a break. You need to go out and get some fresh air, which I did earlier. I went to do some food shopping, a bit of food shopping, then I went to the cathedral for a little bit. And even when I took the rubbish out, I was like trying to breathe in the fresh air. But I probably might have to open the window in the bedroom here. Was windows open downstairs in my toilet, but it gets cold in here at the moment. But the air will help me to breathe better, because at the moment I feel like I'm hyperventilating a bit, inside, and it's harder to do the stream. So the symptoms for anxiety are, like you can panic, you can have hyperventilation, dry mouth. It can make you stress, which makes you dizzy, because when your body goes into fight or flight mode, it automatically takes more glucose, I think it is, to the organs, and it needs more glucose than normal to be able to get the strength to run and fight and flee if you need to. It's a fight, flight, or flee response. But because I've been through quite a lot of trauma in my actual life, it's built into me. It automatically comes on. And it's very difficult for me to manage. Of course, you can try and do breathing exercises. So you can count to 4 and breathe out. That's to 8. But it still doesn't really work with me that well. It's still in my body right now. I still feel like I'm welling up like this, very tense and very tight. So for me, breathing exercises doesn't do so much. I haven't really been going out much lately as well. So I do need to take myself out more, because as an extrovert, staying indoors, just panicking and having anxiety and stress, it builds up and builds up, and not getting out of my flat just makes it very difficult to thrive, not just survive, but thrive, if you know what I mean. So it's good to, whatever, if you're introverted, you still should take a walk or something, because walking can really help calm you down. Movement, music can help change your state. So that's another good thing to do if you've got anxiety. If you change your state through movement and music, and pay attention to what you watch. You don't want to watch something that's going to make you fearful and scared, because that's just going to compound your feelings of being anxiety induced and fearful. So watch things like comedy, things that make you smile and happy, things that you find calm and relaxing. Do not go and watch something or listen to something that's just going to make you feel worse. You don't want that, right? You might not be able to watch certain things you could usually watch when you're in a highly anxiety induced state. But you need to be able to talk your way out of it as well. Talk to yourself like a coach. So this is a technique I use quite a lot. So earlier, my negative self-talk is like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. Oh my God, I just can't do it. I just can't. Like, and my other coaching, higher self, if you like, is like, you're going to be fine. You're going to do it. You're going to, you're going to ace it. You're going to be amazing. You're born to talk. It's going to be no problem for you. You talk on your channel for like over 2 hours sometimes with no problem. You can flow a conversation. Even if you cock up and make a mistake, you can still continue because you always talk all the time on your channel. So if anything, you're going to be one of the best speakers there in the terms of being able to get yourself out of a mess if you get into it. Because yes, you could forget something, which I'm worried about. You could have something go wrong. Anyone can. And if you're going to have I'm going to have my writing career. If you're going to have a speaking career on top of a writing career, you got to know that things with speaking can go wrong. But you are more than capable, Sandra, of handling that because you're used to ad-libbing, which is a skill that not a lot of people have. A lot of people have to work off script. They have to work off PowerPoint. I'm not using a PowerPoint for this, right? I was going to, but then I decided against it because it's just going to distract me more and make me more stressed because I'm not used to using PowerPoint. I've only ever used it once when I was a speaker at the UK Asexual conference in 2018. Right, so I do have some experience of speaking. And also I've done a bit of speaking when I was working for the NHS as a peer trainer. We had this like group conference type thing. I don't know how to explain. It's like with staff and it was with people, I think, who were service users, if I remember right. There was about 30 in the room, and I got really good feedback from the person who was like in charge of me then, saying you could have heard a pin drop. It was that good what you said, that the way you spoke. And I did actually go for a job at a company called Wren's Kitchens. It wasn't my idea. Someone's found my CV on the internet and they saw I worked in furniture in the past. And they invited me for this interview. And I said, but I can't use CAD design. Like, I'm no good with the design programs. But if you just want me to sell, I've worked in fitted furniture before where I book appointments for people, designers to go out. So I can do that type of thing. So I went to the interview and we had to be in this room full of people. And we each had a table with a number of people on there. And we had to do group work. Like years ago, I used to be really bad at stuff like this, but we did this group work and I had to speak in front of like the whole room. I think there was about 80 people there or something. There was quite a lot of people. And when I spoke, I got really good feedback in the next stage of the interview. They did like a X Factor thing where people got eliminated. And when I did the interview, he said, you spoke and like it was amazing. Like in front of everyone, like it was your speaking skills, like everyone was like in silent and was listening to you intently. And so I got really good feedback. But then the job entailed doing CAD design and being a designer. And I already told the woman who phoned me at head office who saw my CV online that I didn't want to do that. I'm not good at maths. That's not my strong point. Writing's my strong point. Being creative's my strong point. Speaking's my strong point. And I didn't want to get involved in that, measurements and stuff. It's not who I am. It's not suitable for me. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a waste of time from the point of view of I didn't want the job because it's not what I like. And I didn't have a car either. And when you're a designer, you usually have to drive to people's homes, although they said they did quite a lot of that in the studio. But I didn't want the responsibility of designing someone's home. I am very good at design, though, because I designed where the furniture would go in this flat here. And there was no storage before. And it does look much better. One of my neighbours came round a couple of days ago and she had a look at it because she saw it before I came in, like when there was previous tenants in here. And she thought, oh, yeah, you've done really well. Because I am actually good at design, but I'm good at the visual stuff. Like I had my best friend helping me with some of the measurements to make sure I got them right, because there's sloping ceilings here and really narrow things that like spaces that I had to get stuff in. So it is a forte of mine. I'm good at design, but I'm more good at the visual side of it than the measurement side of things, if you know what I mean. So anyway, yeah, so that was really good feedback though in the interview. I was really proud of that. So I've had some good feedback about my speaking. And also when I was on BBC Radio with Graham Torrington talking about asexuality, I got really good feedback from them saying you've got a really nice radio voice and that you're welcome to come back anytime. So of course, when my Asexual Guide to Sex book comes back, when it finally comes out, I should say. I was going to say when it finally comes back out. It hasn't been out yet, published. When it's finally out, I'm still working on it after over 4 years. I'm in the editing stages, but it's going to take me some time because I got my Blue Talks talk to prepare for and a lot of other stuff going on. So yes, so one of the things that can help reduce your anxiety is if you think about times when you have succeeded in doing certain things before that were difficult, and especially if they're similar. So these things, when I was talking, at the UK Asexuality conference, that went down really well. When I was speaking for the NHS, when I was talking for an interview I had in groups in the room, then all these add up to really good experiences that I can use as evidence to say that I can speak in front of people, that I am good at talking in front of people, I'm good at being a public speaker, because I've had really good feedback, and I've overcome my fears and anxieties to be able to do all of those talks. But 2 of them, I think, were just talks off the cuff. I had to ad lib. I wasn't told like they were coming up. I just had to do them. The Asexuality conference one I did prepare for. I prepared a lot for that, and I did remember it, but it was easier to remember with the PowerPoint in that respect. But I'm not using PowerPoint this time because I just think it will put me off flow. And therefore I'm relying on my memory a lot more. But you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the distractions that's going to be there in the room. If the roof caves in or something, I don't want that to happen. Don't let that happen, God. But you don't know, anything could happen. You know what I'm saying? Screaming kids could come into the room. Anything could happen. So it requires me to be able to self-soothe by saying, when I'm stressed out, saying I can't do this. It requires me to say, of course you can. I believe in you. You've got this, Sandra. You're amazing. You've done it before. You can do it again. You're incredible. You're going to be fine. And to talk to myself, and positive self-talk to counteract all the negativity. And when you start saying to yourself, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Then I was saying to myself when I went into the city earlier, what happens if you're amazing? What happens if your talk goes really well? What happens if you're the most amazing speaker there? What happens if your speaking stands out amongst everyone else, like, as being the best? I don't like saying this because I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, because there's people who have been speaking a lot longer than me, and there's those better speakers than me. But in terms of a confidence thing, I have to believe that I'm the best speaker. I'm definitely not the best speaker, but Corey's the best speaker, and people have been doing it for years. Corey, who runs Blue Talks, he does speaking for a living. But it's better for me to think that I'm one of the best speakers then, and I'm an amazing speaker. I don't need to compare myself to anyone else. I'm enthusiastic, I'm energetic, bubbly, vibrant. I can hold the audience's attention like that, right? So I'm very caricatural, which is something I was criticized for years ago as a kid, as a teenager, for not being. And I'm definitely the opposite of that now. I'm very expressive with my hands, with my face, with my tonality, with my body language, which is a really good thing. So I just have to boost myself up and say, you're amazing. You've got this. You'll be able to do this, right? You'll remember it. You'll remember what you need to. You'll get through it. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. You'll be great. You'll be good. And so you have to give yourself a pep talk. You have to give yourself plenty of love and care and attention. You have to boost yourself up. You have to inflate your confidence, if you like. You have to basically keep saying, every time you say, I can't do this, you say, yes, you can. You're going to be fine. You have to reassure yourself the whole time. You're going to be fine. Especially as I live on my own, right? I live on my own. I haven't got anyone else here telling me you're going to get through this. You're going to be fine. My best friend does believe in me, though. My best friends text me and said, you're amazing. You'll be fine. You're an amazing speaker. You'll do good. And they're really supportive. And they're asking me what the difficulties are. And that is a really important thing, to know why you're actually experiencing anxiety. What specifically is the issue? Okay, so I'm talking in front of people, right? I talk in front of people on this channel all the time. It's a bit different because I don't know the people at all there. And well, I do know some of them online, but I've never met them in person before. Obviously, I'm speaking in front of Corey, who's like a big speaker himself. I'm speaking in front of other people that are seasoned speakers in there. I'm speaking in front of people who've got probably more experience than me in terms of speaking. Not necessarily all of them, but some of them have. And so it's kind of with more strangers, and I'm used to talking to asexuals on this channel. Obviously, they're not asexual, these people that I know of. So it's a different type of audience, and it's for the entrepreneur market, they're speakers themselves, coaches, business leaders, thought leaders. So it's a different type of environment to what I'm used to speaking in. So that makes it more anxiety inducing. And I think they mic you up half an hour before you're due to go on. So it's that intensity of waiting that much time, So I just want to get on with it, get over and done with in a sense, but then I want to enjoy it at the same time. And part of the problem at the moment, because my friend asked me, like, what is a specific problem? And one of the problems is that I have to put what happened in a certain order in order for people to understand the transformations, could compare the before and after. But there's so much to remember, so many dates, and some of them, like, for example, if I talk about when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2012, I then brought a book out, this book, in 2019. So in order to be able to contrast between, like, trying to come to terms with the fact I had a disability for life and finding that really difficult, to using my pain as my superpower and then writing the book and publishing it in 2019, there's there's the contrast of years. But then I'm going back to a time in 2011 when I didn't even want to be on the internet. I wanted to be on it because I knew I'd have to go on it, but I was scared to be on social media. And then I'm going to 2011, so I'm kind of flipping a bit in timelines, which is not always a good thing to do because it can confuse the audience. So it's very difficult. It's like, do I do the transformation together, or do I wait to do the transformation to what I actually achieved from that later on? So in other words, do I talk about the fact I got fibromyalgia in 2012, then I go on to talk about in 2011, I was scared to be on the internet, and talk about this later on, or do I talk about that at that specific time, my transformation? You see what I mean? It's a bit difficult for me to explain. I know what I'm talking about. So it's just hard. It's a hard talk to do. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And there's so many components to it. But I know I'll get through it because I have to. And I know I'll be good. I have confidence in myself. I've just got to remember that. So if you're trying to push through your own fears, just know that if it's something that's going to excel your learning, if it's something that's going to excel your career, if it's going to help you to live your life in a better way and to feel good about yourself, then go and do it in spite of the fear. Being courageous is not doing things without fear, it's doing things in spite of fear. So in order to reduce your anxiety, know that you're doing the right thing, however painful and difficult it is for you. And you are a brave warrior and you are so courageous, and you need to praise yourself. And know that once you've got through these fears and barriers and you keep pushing through them, life will become more easier later on. There's this saying in the entrepreneur world that if you do what's easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what's hard, your life will be easy. Meaning that if you push through your fears and anxieties and you achieve the things you need to achieve, it will make it easier to do those things and forward your career and forward yourself and propel yourself and make your life better. But if you do what's easy all the time, then you'll have a hard life because you won't be truly living up to your fulfilled destiny, to your happy place. You'll always be forever at the mercy of anxiety, the mercy of fear. You'll let it control your life instead of you controlling it. So it's essential that you grab the bull by the horns and you literally steer it to success and happiness. So you've got to do things in spite of your anxiety and fear. And even though it's difficult and it's hard for you and you might get physical symptoms like I've got at the moment, which is not easy for me, I will feel better once I've achieved that. I still know it's the right thing to do. I still know I need to do it. It's very important to me. It's going to be something that most people are not even going to experience doing ever in their lifetime. So I can be proud that when I'm on my deathbed that I've done these things that were difficult for me to do, right? And that's a lot of people haven't even done before. So you need to think of the payoff, the gain you're going to get once you do that thing, right? And when you are thinking about the payoff and the gain being greater than the pain, then you will succeed. So reducing your anxiety means that you have to come to terms with the fact you're doing something in spite of your anxiety. You have to thank your anxiety and say, look, I know you're worried about me. I know you're scared, but you're going to be okay. You need to praise yourself for being so courageous in trying. You need to look for times when you've got through difficult times before, when you've been anxiety induced before, but you've come out the other side. You need to distract yourself from your anxiety and go and do something else, go and do something relaxing that take your mind off things for a bit, so that when you get back into the flow of doing what's anxiety inducing you, you're going to be in a better state. So it's all about changing your state, changing your mood through movement, music, through seeing something that makes you laugh, through doing something that's going to change your physiology in some way. You have to bear in mind that you'll get more hungry. And so, yeah, it is a bit of a pain that, but you'll need to eat more calories, probably more food. That could put you on weight, obviously, but if your body is in fight or flight mode, it thinks it needs that. And if you don't give it that, you'll continue to feel dizzy. So you do kind of need to eat more stuff, eat more carbs as well, which isn't the best thing to do normally, but your body's requiring extra glucose, right? So that's why you're in the state you're in. Also, like I said, look for evidence of when you've achieved things before that were difficult. Look for evidence of when you've got praise of a similar or the same thing that you're about to do. And lean on friends and family for support if they're supportive. Lean on them, share with them how you feel, share your emotions, share your fears, share your thoughts, because a problem halved is much better than bottling all up. Repressing and suppressing is not a good thing. Make sure that you have time to do other things, that you're still maintaining some of your other interests and hobbies, still doing some other things, so you can take time off to do them. Like when I was doing my exams years ago at school, I found it really difficult to concentrate. So I would do something like 20 minutes of study, then I would have a long break. Some people don't recommend that. They're like, oh, do 45 minutes of study, then 10-minute break. But for me, I find it hard to concentrate, especially with anxiety. So for me, sometimes it's better to do something, the work as it were, for 20 minutes and then have a break. Do it for, you know. So I've been working quite a bit and I really feel I need to watch a movie to just chill out. I feel a movie calms me down, relaxes me, and will put my body in a state of like calmness. And when I do that, it's better, because if I am anxiety induced and experiencing dizziness all the time, it's hard to get any work done or concentrate on anything. I keep getting headaches as well. That's another side effect of anxiety. It's a side effect of stress, but the anxiety is brought on the stress, basically, as far as I can tell. So you're kind of experiencing stress and anxiety symptoms at the same time, but the anxiety is causing the stress, if you know what I mean. So do other things, take your mind off it, give yourself reassurance, know that you're doing the right thing, know that it's so amazing what you're doing, that it's not easy, that it's really tough and really difficult, but you will get through it. You will come out the other side and you will succeed. You'll succeed even by trying in life, because tons of people don't even try. So you can give yourself a pat on the back and praise for trying something that's really difficult, really tough, and really hard. You obviously do have to manage your health as much as possible. So when you're feeling dizzy, like, lie down on the bed more, like allow yourself to understand that you're feeling a bit ill and that's okay. It's understandable. And try to find things that just kind of make you like relax more or forget things for a bit. Like sometimes I just have to lie on the bed. It's harder for me to do things at the moment because I've got other work to do, but it does slow me down, because it's like when you're anxiety induced, your organs are like, like all the blood's rushing to your organs. Like some of my hands feel a bit numb as well, like my fingertips and that, because the blood is literally being drained from your fingertips and it's going to the heart and the liver and all your organs, because the body's in fight or flight mode. So it's trying to protect you and it's trying to like take it, if it's in an extreme state. Obviously, like you can look at meditation videos on YouTube, ones that have calming, soothing music. Sometimes they're really good. You can play them before you go to bed at night, play them in part of the day, get more sleep and more rest if you need it, because obviously your body is in a stress state. It it gets tireder. It lacks energy compared to what it usually does, and it's draining your energy. So by taking time out and realizing that you're not in a fit state like you usually are, and you're being mentally and physically drained more, you're actually like looking after your health more. At the moment, I've got quite a lot of members to put in my groups, and I even got messaged by someone earlier saying, like, why haven't you put me in the group yet? And I had to explain to them that there's only one of me. I run 6 asexual groups, and I've had stuff I've had to do since Monday last week, which was urgent. And that's why it's not really helped me, because I've got this talk that I'm doing this month, but I've had other stuff leading up to it that I had to do urgently. It was legal paperwork that had to be in. So I had Monday to Monday where I was pretty much doing stuff for it, like all the time, the majority of the time, should I say. Then I had to go to the travel agent to sort my Disney Plus subscription out with my holiday. And I was in there for, I think it was the first day I was in there for like an hour and a half. The second day I was in there for over 2 hours trying to sort that out. That wasn't easy because I've already got a subscription from the holiday I took with Disneyland Paris this year. And so it's very difficult to get that sorted. My booking reference wasn't recognized, and so I had all that stress. I haven't been getting much sleep. It required a lot of paperwork, a lot of reading. I'm a slow reader, so all that was stressful. And I'm still backwards and forwards talking about some legal stuff to do that, even though the majority of the paperwork now is done. Well, I've done as much as I can do. The solicitor's got to do the rest now. So yeah, I still have to monitor the outcome, if you know what I mean. But he's away for a couple of days anyway. So, and there's a lot of questions I have to ask him to do with what's happening, because I don't know this type of thing. I'm learning about it. So that's been really stressful. And I'm on Sense of Soul podcast this Friday. My episode should come out, which will be amazing. But then I've got to spend a lot of hours promoting that across blogs, social media, in my newsletters. So that's coming up. And then I've got something else that I'm expecting in the post, which is an assessment I have to do. And that is going to be tough, especially if it comes around my Oxford University time. Plus, I've got all the usual stuff to do. I've got backlog of the groups at the moment, putting people into groups because I had to take the time off to do all the legal stuff. So that was difficult for me. So I've actually got a lot of other things going on and coming up, that the whole workload is going to be somewhat imbalanced. Plus, I've still got my Edits for Asexual Guide to Sex book to do, Diary Confessions of a Hyper Romantic Asexual. Whenever I pick that up, I just end up doing hours of it, which then makes me dizzy, actually, because it's kind of like I'm not eating properly, if I'm honest, because I'm too busy writing. So yeah, and I've got my Asexualise Academy club that I have to stream in as well. And obviously I've got my Asexualise dating channel that I need to do some shorts on sometimes, and my Make Money Make Cash channel, and all that is a lot of extra stress. So I have to just be kind to myself at the moment, loving to myself, and like, okay, you're going to be a bit slower. You're not going to get as much done as you usually do because you've got to do this talk. And I have to tell myself I've got to do it. I've got to do it, while still being kind to myself and knowing that it's going to take me a bit longer to do this talk and to construct it, because it requires a lot of brain power and it requires a lot of action taken. It requires me to do stuff and get out of my comfort zone, and that's not easy. I've still got stuff to prepare for Oxford. I've still got to get a new suitcase. The trousers I bought need taking up because they're too long. So I've actually got to do that myself or hire someone to do that. So I've actually got a lot more stresses on top, which is why it's causing me difficulties. So if this is you, you have to prioritize what's the most important and urgent tasks that need to be done. And you have to be okay with letting some of the other stuff that's not so urgent go, if you like, like for other days. And yeah, you're probably going to have a lot of thick skin to be able to understand that not everyone's going to like that, because they're going to expect you to do stuff for them or be doing things at certain times. But you have to just understand your health's got to come first. If you're not a healthy state, if you are feeling bad and you can't relax and you're feeling anxiety induced all the time, you got the danger of passing out or something if it becomes that bad. So you've got to take care of your own health first, and realize only when you take care of your own health will other people be taken care of. Because I'm not in a fit state to do certain things. If I'm in an anxiety induced state, right, I've got to calm myself down. I've got to make myself calm. I've got to say soothing things to myself, like, I love you, Sandra. you're amazing, you're going to be fine, and this is how you've got to self-soothe, because when you're in an anxiety-induced state, it's hard. It's frigging hard. It's one of the hardest things ever, because I have actually generalized anxiety disorder. It's not like it's just anxiety now and again. It's an actual disorder. So it means basically that my system, my body system, automatically jumps into fight, flight, or freeze mode. It's like it's compulsory for it to do that. And it automatically goes into that. It's like I can't stop it. And the thing is, if you fight against your anxiety, it makes it worse. So if I start telling myself negative stuff and being horrible to myself, that's just going to make it worse and make me feel down about myself. That's not what you've got to do. You can't fight your anxiety, because if you fight it, then it's like fighting your own fighting mechanism, because anxiety puts you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And if you try and fight your anxiety, you've like got two pieces inside you punching each other. It's not going to be good. So you've got to understand your anxiety's there for a reason, to protect you. It's scared, it's worried, it's caring about you. And if it's automatic, there's nothing you can do about it. In terms of it's an automatic response, you have to be able to manage it. But the more you do the thing you're fearful of, eventually you should become much more confident in it, more competent in it, and the anxiety should decrease as a result. But trying to do the thing or things that cause you anxiety in the first place are really hard for you to do is difficult. It means trying to get through hard times. And you know this, and you're like, oh my God, but I know that to have a speaking career will be amazing for me. It'll be amazing for asexuality. And so I'm pushing myself in that direction, but it's not easy. But I know I was born to do it. I just know I'm born to do it. So if I think logically about, you feel you're born to do it, you know you're born to do it, you are going to be good at it, then that does calm me down somewhat. But my anxiety is automatic. I'm still like knotted up inside my tummy. It's still like having a ball of fire inside you, and a ball of, like wall that's crunched, if you like. It's like this. It's really difficult. But by going through this, eventually it should decrease. But at the moment, it's not going to. And it's going to be difficult for me leading up to it. So 4th of October now, I'm speaking on the 23rd. So that's like, well, nearly not 18 days now, because nearly the 19th day's up. So it's hard. I'm actually going to Oxford on the 22nd. So I've only got till the 21st to practice it. And they're having a boot camp. The Blue Talks, the ones I'm speaking for, are having a 3-day boot camp that I've signed up to go to as well, online. That's like whole days. So for 3 days, I won't really be practicing anything. And I haven't even constructed all the talk yet. So I'm in a mass panic at the moment. I'm like panicking. It's so strange. When I come on this channel, I just ad lib and talk naturally all the time. And then I'm panicking over talking. It's like, why are you panicking over talking? Because you talk all the time, but it's difficult because it's structured. Well, I have to structure it, which is harder for me. It's harder for me to do structure than it is for me to do unstructured, if that makes sense. And I've done that on purpose, in the sense of being able to speak without having a map, if you like, a structure before, for this channel, because I know it's an actual skill that only top speakers have, when they can ad lib and they can talk exponentially, I think it's called, without having to look at a script. So I taught myself how to do that a long time ago by going on this channel, by allowing myself to do that and believing in myself and being in flow, rather than looking at pieces of paper and what I've got to say next, and rather than scripting it out. I've done that on purpose. So it does enhance my speaker skills. So it does give me the edge and the advantage, if you like. So always remember the positive stuff about the experience you're having, even if it's difficult. The positive is, I'll be forever able to say I've done a talk at Oxford University. I'll be able to say I've done a talk at Oxford University, the most prestigious university in the whole of the UK. That's one of the most prestigious universities in the whole of the world. Blue Talks will be filming it, so we'll have all the footage. And it's just going to be incredible to have that, right? To be filmed and have all that wonderful footage. I'm going to meet some lovely people offline who I've met online. I'm going to be able to do a talk I've never done before. I'm going to be amazing at doing the talk as much as possible. It's not going to be perfect, but you've got to ditch perfection as well, because a lot of us that have got anxiety are perfectionists, and you've got to understand it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be legible. People have to understand what you're talking about, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Curiosity is a great thing. So you don't have to have every single answer on every single piece of information given to the audience. You can allow them to be curious about some stuff. Just have to remember the main points, and you just have to believe in yourself and keep telling yourself, I believe in myself. I'm amazing. I can do this. Rev yourself up. Right? So do some relaxation things, change your state. Make sure you've got extra snacks and foods that make you feel good. Make sure you have nutritious foods, not just carbs. Like, make sure you're having like fruit and vegetables and protein and things like that, which will give you energy as well. You don't just want to be eating junk food or rubbish like that, right? And make sure that you are good to yourself, you're kind to yourself, you're understanding and compassionate towards yourself, and you understand that you're not in the best of health in this situation. And so therefore you're going to be slower at doing things, more sluggish at doing things, feel more weaker at times, feel dizzy, have symptoms that make you feel really poorly. So you've got to understand that you're kind of not feeling well at the moment, and that's okay to know that. You're not going to be that way forever, but just think of the gain you're going to have from doing the thing you're fearful of doing, well, anxiety induced doing, because once you've done it and you've done this type of thing more and more, it'll become like you're floating in the bath, in a good way. It'll be like you are, just chilling out, and it will become a lot more second nature to you the more you do it. The more there's something called the confidence competency loop. So the more you do something that you're afraid of doing, that you find difficult doing, the more confident you become in it. The more confidence you have, the more competent you become in it. The more competent you become in something, the more confident you become in it. And it goes on a confidence competent loop like that. So you have to do the thing that's difficult and practice it time and time again in order to get confident at it, to become competent in it, to feel more confident, to do it again. So the more you do it, the more confidence you feel, the more competent you feel, the more confidence you feel, and it goes and gets bigger and bigger till it becomes more like second nature to you. Do you enjoy it more? Do you feel good about doing it? Like, do I have my doubts about public speaking? Yes, of course I do. Sometimes I just think, well, it's not going to be good in some ways. But when I say that, I don't really believe it. I think it'll be really good for me. I think it'll be really good for me to fulfill all my destinies, including public speaking. I think that I'm born to do it. I think I'm really enthusiastic. I think I've got a nice tone of voice, and I think I can do this. I think I can do it. I know I can do it. It's going to be amazing. So think of the good points. Think of the things going well. Imagine things going well. This is a really good tip. Definitely imagine things going well. Even if you have anxieties, doubts and fears and worries, picture yourself doing the event and picture it going really well, and getting a round of applause and people thinking, that person was amazing, and saying it to you. So visualize the good outcome that you want and focus on the good outcome, because if you focus on a negative outcome, you're going to net negativity. It's not going to go well. So just keep focusing on the positives. And even if your mind keeps going negative, then just draw it back to the positive. Just say, it's amazing. You're going to nail it. You're going to do it. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. You're going to be all right. You're going to be good. And even though you're like, it's like, you're going to be fine. Trust me, you're going to be fine. Say, I trust myself. I trust myself. I'm going to be amazing. I trust myself. I believe in myself. I can do this. And keep doing that. You can have things to calm your nerves, like chamomile tea and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend doing that before you go on stage, though, if you're doing public speaking yourself, because you end up needing the toilet. But, drink more water as well to stay hydrated, because obviously you'll have a dry mouth when you are anxiety induced. You're not going to be able to sit there drinking this on stage, though. So you know what I mean? So make sure that you feel good in the clothes you wear when you're doing the things that you're finding difficult. Make sure you feel good in your body as much as possible. You feel good at other things. You give yourself as many good sensations as possible so that they counteract the difficult sensations you've got in your body, right? You're going to remember the antidote to anything is doing the opposite, having the opposite feeling. So if you're feeling anxiety induced, you need to do something relaxing. If you're panicking, you just need to do something calming. If you're telling yourself negative stuff, you need to tell yourself positive stuff. If you're going, what if, saying bad stuff, you need to change it to what if good stuff. If you're feeling poorly, it's okay to accept you're feeling poorly, but you're not really poorly. It's temporary. It's just temporary. Just say to yourself, it's temporary. Right? You're feeling poor. You can acknowledge that you're not feeling well. So how are you going to make yourself feel better? Focus on that. Like, eat nice foods, drink nice drinks, not alcohol. You don't want to get addicted to that. Go and do something that makes you feel good. Go out. Be happy. Do other things. Don't revolve your whole life around the thing you're fearful of. Because what we focus on expands. So if we focus on the thing we're fearful of and keep feeling fear all the time, that's just going to build up to more fear. So you need to spend a certain amount of time doing the thing you're fearful of and then giving yourself a break, so that you can contrast between when you're doing it and you're fearful, when you're not doing it and you're okay. So you'll be okay because you're not fearful all the time. It's just that when you go through an anxiety-inducing thing, you can still have the feelings in your body, even if you do some other stuff sometimes. So you need to take your mind off it and know that you'll be okay. Know you'll be fine. You've got some tough things that you've gone through before. You came out the other side in a positive way, and you can do this again. It's just another thing. Right, so remember all these tips. I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. If you have in any way, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. If you have anxiety, I feel for you. I really do. Big hugs to you. Love you lots. Keep going. You're the best and amazing. Never forget that. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. Share this video and give me a big kiss like I'm giving you. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.